everybody, it's Khristina from Redefine Creative, and I am back with another 15-minute quick and easy impactful layout using some of my leftovers from favorite collections from Wild Whisper Designs. And so I'm going to be combining two different collections, Child at Heart and Crazy Motivated. And even though these weren't like part of the same collection, they coordinate really, really well together, which makes it really easy and fun to play with some of your leftovers. So I have a 4x4 photo of my son, and he is sitting with this like computer headset on because this is kind of documenting our new reality of being at school at home. And so I wanted to use this really bright, fun triangular background, but because it's so busy, if you want to use a paper like that, or if I want to use a paper like that as a background, I make sure to really kind of create a top layer over it that's going to be a solid color and really going to break up that pattern. So for this particular layout, I'm using this navy blue cardstock as my way to kind of break everything up. And then I've just taken a few layers of pattern paper to put on top. So I have this white paper with the black little check marks, and then I have the lime green arrows. And then I'm going to kind of play around with getting some more cards and those kind of things. Like I have this one with the stars. So I'm just going to kind of play with some layers behind my photo. But that big block of navy blue really helps to kind of break everything up and make it work a little bit better on a busier background. So that's one of my big kind of tips for today if you want to use a busier background. So then I'm just going to flip through my die cuts that I have left over from both collections and find pieces that I feel like are going to work. So I really love that one that says Pretty Beast in like the orangish color, and then I've got Progress Champion and I Am Motivated. I also cut that circle from one of the pocket page cards from this particular collection, and it says the memories will outlast the mess that they made, which is, you know, kind of how it goes when you are transitioning to doing school at home. And so I have that down in that bottom corner, and then I'm just going to flip through some of these other Child at Heart pieces to see if there's anything from this particular collection that I want to use. There are a ton of little like different colored arrows in that particular collection. And at first I don't pull them out, but I'm going to end up going back to that later and adding some of those little arrows, and you'll see kind of how I put those in each of the clusters. So once I have that little detail done, I'm not going to do a ton of other embellishing, but I did feel like this navy blue paper needed one more thing to really make it pop up off the page. So I'm going to take a sheet of white cardstock and put just a thin white border all the way around that navy blue paper. And that is really going to make that element kind of stand out. And so this is one of those spots where it's kind of like working on an 8.5 by 11 layout and then just putting it on top of a 12 by 12. So I'm keeping my title, all of my embellishments, all of my stuff inside that blue box. And then the pattern paper is just kind of adding a really kind of fun, funky background to the entire layout. So then I'm just going to go ahead and glue all those layers in place where I had everything kind of before. I'm using this bicycle card just as a pop of that orange. So I'm going to cut it in half so that I can use half up at the top of that block and then half down at the bottom. And when I'm only using two sections like that, I will very often put them on the diagonal. And that kind of makes it look almost like a picture frame. And then I have that little star card that I wanted to get back in there behind my photo as well. I did leave a little extra piece of white cardstock underneath my photo, and I like the look of that sometimes because it makes it look almost like it's a Polaroid picture rather than just a 4x4, which is just a little bit different. And you can always add like journaling or text or stamping or something down in that space if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave it plain for this particular layout, but you could totally add a little detail down there if you wanted to. And then this is where I go ahead and go back for those arrows, and I'm going to choose 3 of them. And I thought about having a bunch of them kind of point towards that circle all around that bottom part, but I wanted to include my title in that bottom section and like that bottom corner. So instead I'm going to put one of each arrow that I have in the different colors in like my 3 kind of embellishment clusters. So where I have those 3 phrases, and I am going to take my tiny attacher and put a couple of little staples through each one. Because that one on the inside I couldn't reach with my tiny attacher, I went ahead and added the staples before I attached it to the page, but because I can reach the other 2, I went ahead and just did those directly stapled onto the page. And then I'm going to add a few little staple details to these diagonal corners as well to just kind of tie everything together. And then it's time to go ahead and get my title in here. So my title is going to say at school, at home. And so I have two different fonts that I want to use. And I wasn't entirely sure that they were going to be small enough because I picked a pretty big font. I'm not really sure exactly why I did that, but I end up liking how it looks, except that these little ones are kind of old and they just don't really want to stick. So rather than doing a straight on title, I'm going to end up making it kind of like a bouncing baseline, little more wonky title, which goes along with the feel of the page just fine, and that totally works, and it lets the stickers kind of do their own thing, which is, you know, also fine too. And then I'm going to grab these bigger letters in like this green color, and those are from Studio Calico from when they had a clearance sale like ages and ages ago. And these are the ones that I'm going to use to say at home. So there's definitely going to be kind of a distinction between the two fonts in my title, where at school and at home are two very like distinctly different phrases, which is kind of funny because right now they are two very much of the same type of experiences. I am going to go ahead and add just a few enamel dots, and as usual with enamel dots, I get a little bit carried away. So I've kind of chosen three different little areas where I'm going to put enamel dots. So one is going to be up by that pretty beast phrase, one is going to be over there by progress champion, and then one will be along the bottom where it says I am motivated and kind of by the at home. So I start out using this like mint green color, and then I add orange, and I don't have enough of the right sizes to add to all of the clusters. And so that is just not working for me. So I'm digging around, finding even more enamel dots. And I know I want to get some black and white in there as well. So I'm like, okay, I need to space out the mint some more. So, you know, it's a lack of planning thing, really. It's just me kind of playing around. So I end up with an orange one in each one, a little mini mint colored one in each one. And then I go ahead and go back for some black and white. And I'm going to add a little bit of black and white to each one as well. And that's going to finish off all of those individual clusters. So as you are hopefully having some creating time at home, do think about kind of pulling out some of your leftovers from different collections. You can often kind of work things in together. So these two collections were very different, but once you put them all together, it really did give a really cohesive look, especially for the theme of this page. And it's using up just a few more of those leftovers. It definitely came together really quickly. Keeping everything into that 8.5 by 11-ish block really kind of decreases the amount of space that you necessarily have to fill on your layout, and does kind of help when you were trying to stick within those 15-minute little blocks of time that you have, if that is all you have to create with. And so hopefully you enjoyed seeing this one. If you want to click down below in the box, there is my discount code for Wild Whisper Designs, as well as a link to the two collections that I used. And I will be back to see you really soon. Bye, everybody.